So the New York Jets are a bad football team, and their quarterback Joe Flacco, threw the ball I think it was 59 times on Sunday. They lost to the Baltimore Ravens 24-9, and it probably wasn't even that close. And so their head coach Robert Saleh. He had some things to say in the media yesterday, and he talked about the performance and also wanted to let everybody know that he is keeping track of some of the negativity and the negative coverage that his team gets.
90% of games in this league are lost. Yesterday, in my opinion, we did not get beat, we lost. And they're two totally different things. You just look at it, just felt like we were the faster team. We played with a lot of speed and aggression, especially on defense. And a lot of these little mistakes and a lot of things that people don't see, we have to learn how to do right longer. You just feel the team getting faster and faster, and you're going to see it on tape. As you're watching TV, is we're like, damn, these guys are flying around and they're making plays and they're talking smack. And I know it's going to happen. We're all taking receipts on all the people who continually mock and say that we ain't going to do anything. I'm taking receipts. And I'm going to be more than happy to share them with all of y'all when it's all said and done.
Ooh. That's big words, man.
Hey.
That's big. Some big words there.
You better
threatening people.
You better.
That's aggression.
I don't really get after week one coming out, like taking this stance. I mean, I don't know if it's jealousy over the New York media fawning over Brian Daboll and the way they went into Tennessee and won that game. Maybe that's part of it, because it seemed like the Giants now are getting all the love, and obviously the New York media is vicious. They got to take their, energy out on someone else, so it's on the Jets. I don't doubt what Robert Saleh is saying. I mean, I think anyone who's watched them or even watched Week 1, they are a better roster. They're getting closer to where they need to be. Yeah, Sauce Gardner's been phenomenal. He's been phenomenal. That's a home run of a pick. They've had some guys that haven't necessarily worked out. But, early impression is this team's a better roster than what it was last year. That's the truth. But that doesn't necessarily mean you win football games, right? Like, I think Denver's the more talented roster than Seattle. They didn't win the football game last night. The more talented team doesn't always win when there's not execution. And so he's right. To a degree, there needs to be better execution. He's talking about faster and longer and all this stuff. That's fine. The real truth to it is Robert Saleh will be successful if Woody Johnson gives him time. That's the truth. Like we tend to act like, this guy, because it's the Jets, they can be successful. They just need enough time to be able to get the roster in a point and get the quarterback to actually, be out there on the field and healthy to actually get to a point where they can have success. And so that's more determined by the ownership than it is by necessarily anything Robert Saleh is going to do in the short term. I mean, look, he's a good coach. He is. He's smart. He's sharp. They have a good staff. They have a good front office. It's going to take some time. And is Woody Johnson willing to deal with however much time it takes to get there? That's going to be ultimately the biggest question as far as whether or not those receipts that Robert Saleh has, whether or not he can return them in for invoices and he can hold everyone accountable. So, I mean, because here's the truth is, people talked about this team like they were going to be the Bengals from a year ago, because they had the same odds, if I'm not mistaken, Jonas, coming into the season. And people are acting like, well, why can't the Jets be that team? They got all this talent, all this, these picks. Like, people were saying that. So, one, I think his comments are a little misguided, because that was the expectations that, like, others on the outside had for the Jets with their draft picks. But, two, you kind of look at it and go, did anyone really think that was going to happen? I mean, maybe Robert Saleh and the staff did, or the team did. I don't know that anyone legitimately looked at the Jets as a Super Bowl contending team.
If you did, you probably need to seek help and guidance, maybe clinical help. But, I like Robert's approach. I really do. And here's the reason why. Because the Jets fan base is a fan base that's driven off of emotion. When you're a struggling franchise and you're a struggling team, your fans struggle with you. And so to me, I think that's more of a device that Robert Saleh used in terms of making sure he rallies their fan base so that they're more supportive versus, dismissive or belligerent or upset that the Jets are still struggling. And it's kind of like, all right, it's a tough guy approach. I mean, you recall who was the coach for the Giants that tried to do the same thing? He came in with that tough guy stuff.
Oh, Joe Judge.
Joe Judge.
Yeah.
Judge. No, I would say
What a name.
I would say Saleh isn't as
Joe
egregious.
Judge.
Yeah, it is a good name. I would say he's not as egregious in his approach and how he's going about things, but I also would say that unless you start to kind of inject that belief, that stone cold, like it's us against the world mentality, I mean, nothing else. Look at it this way. The only coach that has had success really in years that we can recall was a guy with that type of chip on his shoulder, and Rex Ryan.
Yeah.
And so to me, while I think it's premature to get on your kind of like your soapbox and say, okay, y'all talking trash about us. Okay, we'll see when it all ends. But at the end of the day, if that's what he feels is going to rally his guys, is going to rally the fans, if he feels like this is a uniting way, and he would know based upon his time there and what he's hearing and what he's feeling, whether for right or for wrong, if that's the direction he's going in, New York state of mind, people are like tooth chippers in New York. They want somebody who's a fighter. I don't want no sissiness, no sissy action. Like I want you to be like tough, stand in on it and lean in on it. And maybe that's what he's trying to apply and appeal to.
Do you think that he would be a better coach there if he had a foot fetish like Rex Ryan?
I don't know.
Okay.
And maybe he does. Maybe it just didn't become public domain.
Yeah, that's a good point. Look, I just think
you like toes.
Not really.
Pig feet.
No. What's wrong with
pig
you?
Hole.
Here's why I don't understand the approach. Let me rephrase that. I do understand he's frustrated. He's tired of losing. He's tired of the jokes. I get all that, but the fact of the matter is, and not to beat a dead horse in what we've talked about, you're going to lose to the Browns next week. You're going to lose to the Bengals. You're going to lose at Pittsburgh. You're going to lose to the Dolphins. You're going to lose at Green Bay. You're going to lose at Denver. You're probably going to lose to the Patriots, and you're definitely going to lose to the Bills. And then you've got a bye week, and you won't lose. So it's a bit early to go to the we're keeping receipts card if the receipt is just going to get long. The receipt's going to look like one of those CVS receipts by the bye week to where it just keeps coming and coming and coming, and you're like, oh, I don't need all this. It just feels like to go this direction, it's a bit early in the season in a rebuild with a veteran quarterback because your starting quarterback got injured. To go to this card, I think he's going to look back on it and go, probably should have saved that for later on. I don't know. Just feels like he's going down the well of something that maybe didn't need to go this early.
Well, when you put it out there, you got to deal with it.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to back it up.
You got to back it up.
The interesting thing is, it was an emotional response, right? Like that's what's tied to that. Like that's an emotional response for a head coach that I think prides himself on being really cool, calm, and collected, and like not allowing his emotions to get in the way of things. But I think you can see it starting to strike a nerve because even he's probably frustrated with the lack of – I mean, look at it this way. The line was 7. You weren't even close to sniffing that.
No.
I mean, the first half, it was competitive. The second half wasn't. And so, like as a coach, I think you always want to stay optimistic. You always want to believe in your team having the ability to win every game. But it gets probably frustrating because when you really are looking at it, they've got to play a certain style or a certain way, and they have to execute that game plan in order to win it. And if they don't, more often than not, they're probably going to lose. It's a tough spot to be in right now. But again, that's not saying they won't be in a better spot in the future. It's just how long will Woody Johnson hold on to this group and let them build? Or will he get frustrated in watching the Buffalo Bills continually be competitive? And the Miami Dolphins now look like the second-best team in that division after beating the Patriots. I mean, I honestly wonder how much of the Jets' runway they have here matters on what the Patriots look like. Like, if the Patriots end up being the last team in that division, did the Jets feel better about themselves by pure virtue of just the Pats not working out? Or if the Pats end up being the third-best team and they're still the cellar dweller, are they going to sit there and be like, "Oh, we haven't made any progress. We're not getting anywhere." I mean, that's what I'm curious to see, because you do have to take into that consideration. They have a hard schedule, and on top of that, their division got better, at least in the regards to Miami, this offseason. And so it's just, I don't know. I look at it, I think it's an uphill battle. It really is for them right now.
It's an uphill battle. It's an uphill battle.